Welcome to this Selenium WebDriver tutorial on iFrame and frames in Selenium. First, the difference between frame and iFrame in Selenium. What are frames in Selenium WebDriver? Frames are used to make a website layout by dividing the web page into different sections. For example, here there can be a top frame, here there can be a left frame, and here there can be a right frame. Now, iframes are a newer way to make a website layout. In iframes, the content can be from different domains. Iframes are more common nowadays. Now, handling frames in Selenium and handling iframes in Selenium is done in the same way. Let me explain how. An iframe in Selenium can have web elements just like the body of the web page. Now the problem is that if a web element is within a Selenium iframe, Selenium cannot find it and gives a no such element error. This happens even in Selenium 4. So how to handle frames in Selenium WebDriver? First you have to find the frame or iframe and then switch to it before finding the web element in that frame. For frames or iframes in Selenium WebDriver, there is the switch to method. So switch to method is used to switch frames. Now there are 4 ways to switch to frame in Selenium. The first method is that you find the iframe using a locator, and after that you call driver.switchToFrame and give the iframe web element as the argument to the frame method. The second method for switch to frame Selenium Java is to give the iframe ID. If the iframe ID is available, you give the iframe ID as the argument in the frame method. The third method in Selenium Java is to give the iframe name. If iframe name is available, you give the iframe name in the frame method as the argument. And the fourth method is to give the iframe index. If the iframe ID or iframe name is not available, you can give the iframe index. There can be frames within a frame also. So the inner frames are called nested frames. For nested frames in Selenium WebDriver, you have to call the driver.switchTo method multiple times. So you switch to the nested frame, and then within that also you can switch to the other nested frame multiple times in order to go deeper until you are in the correct inner nested frame. For leaving the frame or iframe, you can use the driver.switchTo.defaultContent method. This command takes you back to the top level document. Once you are back in the top level document, you can switch to another frame and continue coding in Selenium with Java. In this Selenium tutorial, let me show you handling frames in Selenium Java using MaxTAF, the free Selenium framework using Java. I have opened MaxTAF and I have created a free account in it. I am logging in now. And once I am logged in, I have to create a project or select the project and click on add case. So I'm going to call it iframe test case and choose a template as Selenium Hello World to get the sample code and click on the create button. Now MaxTAF has generated the sample case. I click on the script tab and scroll to the end. Now I don't want some lines here, so let me remove those lines. Now the website that I want to navigate to is the test website on my blog called the Journey Planner, and this is the link of that. So basically this is the Journey Planner application. You can use it for to practice testing, and there is a followers section here. Now I want to click on the follow button, so I have to inspect it, right click on it and click on inspect, and here there is no clear ID or name, so I can copy the CSS selector, and so here this is a div, and if I keep going up, so here this is within a iframe. So after driver.get, I just want to locate that button, so I have to write web element, and I'm going to call it follow button. So web element follow button is equal to driver dot find element by dot, I copied the CSS selector, and my CSS selector was this follow button, and give a semicolon. Now I want to click on that follow button, the follow button dot click method. So let me save this now and compile it. Now case is compiled, now I can run it. So because the follow button is within a frame, this is not going to work even in Selenium 4, because in Selenium it just looks at the web elements in the top level document only. It does not go and find the elements within the frame. So here there is no such element error. Now I want to write the code to explore the frames, because I don't want to look in the page source and figure out what is the locator of the frame I have to switch to. So what I'm going to do temporarily is comment out these two lines in Java, and after driver.get I want to write the code to find all the iframes. So first of all I want to find out how many frames are there on the web page. So I can give int and give my variable name as num frames, and use driver dot find elements plural by dot tag name, and the tag name is iframe. And once I get all the elements, I just want to know what is the size of this. And once I get the number of the frames in the num frames variable, I can log it using MaxTAF built-in mx service dot add log line, and right here there are num frames, iframes in this web page or something. Now after I get the number of frames, I can even get the details of those frames. So in this Selenium WebDriver tutorial, let me first of all run this code to get the number of frames in the web page. So save it and run it. So here in the log we can see that there are 9 iframes in this web page. Now I can use a for each loop and see the details of each of those frames. So for that I can create a string to add to the log and call it frame info, and use a for each loop for web element. I'm going to call it f in and driver dot find elements, the same used to find out the size above. Find elements by dot tag name, and the tag name is iFrame, and I'm going to have a couple of lines in this for each loop. So string frame info, this is where I want to put all the data. So first I want to get the iframe ID. iframe ID is equal to, so f web element is going to contain one frame at a time when this for each loop runs. So I can get f dot get attribute, and the name of the attribute I want is ID, and then I can get the name also. Name is equal to, and same thing, f dot get attribute and name, and I can use string concatenation. I want one more data here. So frame info plus is equal to, this means take the previous value whatever is there in the frame info variable and add something to it. So I can get the frame source also. Source is equal to f dot get attribute, and for source we have to give src, and then frame info, that complete string is available now. So I can log it, mx service dot add log line, and I want to log frame info. So this code needs to be run in order to see the information. Click on the run button. MaxTAF has started the test case execution, and it shows the video also. Let me open the log, and here I cannot see it completely, so I can go to the run log, and that will show me in a wider area. So this is the case, and I can expand on log. Okay, so now it says there are 10 frames in this web page. So this is the first frame, and here the source is something blogger.com, so it is coming from a different domain. The website is blogspot.com, but this is blogger.com. Then there is some Google ads, couple of frames, then there is Amazon ad, and this is the follow frame that I am interested in, this one. So what I can do is, let me look if it has an ID. Now this ID is dynamic. Every time I run it, it changes. Same for the name. In fact, the ID and name are the same. So the option left to me is to use the index. So the indexes start from 0. So this frame is going to have index 0, index 1, index 2, index 3, and index 4. So I have to switch to frame with index 4. So let me try that. Go to case and click on the script tab. And after the for each loop, in fact I don't need all these lines of code. I have explored the frames, I have the information available. So here I am going to write the code how to handle frames in Selenium. Now I have to use the switch to method in order to switch to that frame. So driver dot switch to dot frame, and I don't have the ID and name because they are dynamic. I don't want to keep changing it, so I can use the index 4 and uncomment these lines also. Now once the follow button is clicked, I have to go and switch to that window, so that I showed you in the previous tutorial. So let me go back and get that code. So I can go to cases, and it was in tabs case. So using get window handles, I basically switched to that window handle, this line. Copy it from here and go to iFrame test case. Now I want to use the array list, so I have to import it. So import java dot util dot array list, and here after I have switched to frame and clicked on the follow button, I have to write the code to switch to that window. Switch window using Selenium WebDriver with Java, and array list string all is equal to new array list string, and get window handles basically gives all the window handles, and it's going to put it in an array list called all. Then I have to just switch to it. Driver dot switch to, and switch to method can be used for window also. Switch to window and all dot get, because array list has the get method and indexes start from 0, so 0 is going to be the parent one, and the follow window is going to be with index 1. Once the window is open, I can go back to the top using driver dot switch to default content. Now let me save this code and compile it to see if there are any errors or not. Now case is compiled and I'm going to run it. So MaxTAF is running the case. There are no entries going to be in the log. The case is complete. Let me see the video, maximize it and play it. The MaxTAF has launched the Chrome browser and navigated to the journey planner, and here we can see that it has clicked on the follow button. Why this was possible? Because we switched to that frame. Earlier it was giving no element found error, but once you switch to the frame, then Selenium 4 is able to find the web element and we can write code in order to operate that element. So that's all in this Selenium Java tutorial. Please view all my Selenium tutorials. The link is in the video description. You will learn Selenium easily with my Selenium training. in these Selenium videos. Thank you.